Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Jocelyn Blowfield. This evening, we warmly welcome Group Captain Alan George, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome veterans who are served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association, and we welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial, students on behalf of St Pius X Catholic Primary School Dubbo, visiting from Dubbo, New South Wales, and students on behalf of Lord Howe Island Central School, visiting from Lord Howe Island, New South Wales. If you're able, I invite you to now please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you, students. Please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Roy Edward Brook, who was killed during the Second World War. Roy Brook was born on the 9th of July 1920 in Brisbane, the only son of William and Minnie Brook. He had two sisters, Rosie and Enid, and their father was a bookkeeper. Brook was educated at Eagle Junction State School and passed his scholarship exam in 1934. He studied woodworking with the Central Technical College and was an apprentice joiner with the A.J. Wilson for 5 years before gaining employment there. He played C-grade tennis and cricket. In June 1941, Brook joined the Air Force Reserve, and on the 11th of October, he was officially enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force, aged 21. He trained as an air gunner and received his badge in June 1942, when he was also made sergeant. Brook embarked for overseas service from Sydney on the 24th of August 1942 and arrived in the UK in November. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, bomb aimers, wireless operators, air gunners and flight engineers who joined Australian and British squadrons in Britain throughout the course of the war. Further specialist training followed in England, and on the 23rd of January he was promoted to flight sergeant and became a wireless operator. On the 29th of June, he joined No. 467 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. As part of Bomber Command, the squadron flew the 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. On the night of the 3rd of October 1943, No. 467 Squadron was part of a Royal Air Force raid on Kassel in Germany. Flight Sergeant Brook was the wireless operator and air gunner of Lancaster POK, which took off at 6:30 p.m. Of the 14 aircraft the squadron committed to the mission, only Brooks's failed to return to base. Heading home from the target, Brooks's aircraft was passing over the Dutch coast when it was engaged by anti-aircraft fire. The pilot took evasive action, but the Lancaster crashed into the North Sea. Australians, Pilot Officer Geoffrey Smith and Flight Sergeant Ronald Wellington survived, with British Sergeant A.T. Proudfoot. The 3 men were taken prisoner by the Germans. Flight Sergeant Roy Brook was killed in the crash, along with fellow Australians, Flight Sergeants Raymond Dorwitz, John Francis and Sydney Jackson. The body of Flight Sergeant Brook was never recovered, and he is commemorated on the Runnymede Air Force's Memorial to the Missing in Surrey, near London. He was 23 years old. Roy Brook was deeply mourned by his family and friends, who placed in memoriam notices in the newspaper for years after his death. One, inserted by his sister Rosie, read, "Deep in my heart, your memory is kept, too cherished and loved to ever forget." His mother also paid tribute to his crewmates Ray, John and Sid, who also paid the supreme sacrifice, fighting to the last. Roy's father, William Brook, also served in the Second World War. He was a sergeant with the Queensland Line of Communications area, but died of illness in April 1945. Flight Sergeant Roy Brooks's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Roy Edward Brook, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, the staff and the volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. Wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.